Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The request for today was SABATON Night Witches animated story. So that is the one I'm bringing to you. Now, as I've already pointed out, there are a lot of different requests for SABATON songs. There are a lot of different versions. So I'm going with the one that was requested, and if you have a request yourself, I'm more than happy to hear it. Go ahead and put it in the comments, but without further delay, let's get going.
The Germans are resting behind the lines of the Eastern Front, their tents in neat rows. All is in order in the quiet and still of the night. It's cold, and the winter snow crunches under the jackboot of a guard. Looking up into the sky, the snow starts to drift down. It's peaceful here. Was that a noise from the sky? No, it's just the wind. Suddenly, piercing the still of the night, there's an otherworldly scream and a whoosh as a dark form speeds by. And was that a woman's laughter in the distance? There are no engine sounds, and the suddenly fearful German soldier loses his footing and whispers under his breath, "Die Nachthexen." The world is all at once a bloom of fire and ash, and two more dark forms pass without a sound. Hearing the whooping and celebration of these supernatural creatures, the guard shakes himself from his fear and calls out, "Die Nachthexen! Die Nachthexen! The Night Witches!" In the sky above.
That's got to be one thing that's absolutely terrifying. In the middle of the night, all of a sudden, planes just zooming by overhead, bombs dropping. Everything that was peaceful and content a moment earlier is now absolute, utter chaos. Let's keep going.
3 planes of the soon-to-be famous 588th Night Bomber Regiment, their engines now running, turn east for home. Time to rearm and refuel for another mission. Coming into land, they're greeted by their commissar, Yevdokia Rashkevich. The young girls that form the pilots and navigators are between the ages of 17 and 26. They are desperate to take the fight to the Germans and have traveled from all over Russia to join the all-women regiments. The 588th is where the least skilled of all the women are placed, but that didn't stop them from carving their name in history. In the early days, they were largely ridiculed by the Soviet men. Given men's uniforms that were too big and shoes all of the same size, the women did the best they could with the clothes, making them fit with belts or filling the large men's shoes with stuffing. The equipment they were given was woefully out of date. The Polikarpov PO2 was a 2-man trainer, underpowered and made of cloth and wood. These old string bags were nicknamed crop dusters, or
See, excuse me. Something we talked about before. I absolutely believe that every individual who wishes to fight should be given the opportunity. Because you never know what talent lies hidden under the surface, especially when you're ridiculing, mocking, and decrying it. I received a letter 2 weeks into boot camp that says you can come home whenever you like. We know this is a phase. And all that did was light a fire under my ass to make sure I kept going. And I know that wasn't the intention, but that's what happened. So, yeah. You know, you'd be surprised. The more, the less you value someone's ability to do something, the more fire it may plant in them to actually set out and do it.
even worse, sewing machines due to the noise their tiny engines made. But the women of the 588 ignored the taunts, and despite the odds, turned the plane's shortcomings to their advantage. The planes at maximum speeds were far below the stall speeds of any of the German fighters. Giving them a tight turning circle, they were almost impossible to hit. They were susceptible to small arms fire and anti-aircraft guns, so their strategy was to attack in threes, with a navigator in each plane. At her signal, the pilot would cut the engines and swoop in slowly, silently, dropping their bombs, dealing death from above. Unexpected, undetected, stealth perfected. If necessary, the other two would draw fire from the fighters or from the ground. They slept during the day and rose at dusk to take their vengeance on the invaders. This unnatural bravery and their stealth tactics earned them their title, the Night Witches. The German ace...
That is highly impressive. What a great strategy, honestly. When they're least expected, when everyone else is tucked in for the night, for them to then be up and about and running stealth missions, that's awesome. I give them all the props in the world. That is very, very impressive.
Johannes Steinhoff said, "We simply couldn't grasp that the Soviet airmen that caused us the greatest trouble were in fact women. These women feared nothing."
Before we get into the chorus, in the words of Cinema Sins, the Bruce Almighty Moon in the background is quite impressive, and I am definitely here for it. One thing really quick, sorry I didn't prepare. From the depths of hell and silence cast their spells, explosive violence, Russian nighttime flight perfected, flawless vision undetected. Pushing on and on, their planes are going strong. Air Force number 1, somewhere down below, they're looking for the foe. Bombers on the run. You can't hide, you can't move, just abide. Their attacks have been proved, raiders in the dark. Silence through the night, the witches join the fight, never miss their mark. Absolutely beautiful description. It goes above and beyond even just describing it. It gives it its own life in the characteristics. Cast their spells, explosive violence. I mean, it's just, these lyrics are amazing.
Unexpected, wings of glory, tell the story, deviation, undetected, stealth perfected, foes are losing ground, retreat into the sound, deadness in the air, suddenly appears confirming all your fears, straight from witches there, target bound from around, arrow sound from the battleground, saving high, Lodging awaits, defeat them at the gates, live to fight and fly, canvas, wings of death, prepare to meet your fate. Night Bomber Regiment, 388. Undetected, unexpected, wings of glory.
So that last verse, or the chorus was undetected, unexpected, wings of glory tell their story, aviation, deviation, undetected, stealth, perfection. Foes are losing ground, retreating to the sound. Death is in the air, suddenly appears, confirming all your fears. Strike from witch's lair, target found, come around, barrels sound. From the battleground, axis aiming high, Rodina awaits, defeat them at the gates. Live to fight and fly. I mean, again, death is in the air, suddenly appears, confirming all your fears. I mean, they essentially cut the engines, swoop in on silent wings, strike from the witch's lair, which of course is the cockpit, and then they're gone again before they're even noticed, except in that, that one case where the planes get shot down, and that does happen. Air-to-ground fire is a lot more accurate, unfortunately. But by and large, they just swoop in, kick ass, take names, and leave. There's plenty of comments and plenty of history here as well to go through. But the historic fact of it is this is the story of the Russian female pilots of the 588th Bomber Regiment. Their nickname, Night Witches, comes from the characteristic sound of their bomb planes. That was all that could be heard during the nightly raids, since they set their engines to idle and would glide through the night to their target. This sound brought the enemy's thoughts to the broomsticks of witches, and they called them Nachthexen. That guitar solo was absolutely epic, by the way. And I don't want to take away from the musical capability of Sabaton, because just as much as the lyrics and the descriptions personify the actions of the pilots, so too does the music. The chaos and the general feel of the combat and everything that's going on, and then that guitar solo was just absolutely amazing. So let it not be said that Sabaton has musical genius as well. I am absolutely enjoying this journey so far, so let's go ahead and wrap it up.
The wind will whisper when the night witches come. Undetected, unexpected, wings of glory, tell the story, aviation, deviation, undetected, still perfected, from the depths of Ellie's islands, faster spells, explosive violence, Russian nighttime flight, perfected, flawless vision, undetected.
32 women, both pilots and navigators, never came home. The 588th became highly decorated and respected, flying more than 23,000 sorties, dropping over 3,000 tons of bombs. 23 Night Witches were awarded the Hero of the Soviet Union, although they were disbanded just 6 months after the war and not allowed to fly in the victory parade, given their planes were so slow. From 1956, after she retired from active service, their commissar Yevdokia Rashkevich took it upon herself to find the site of every single one of her girls that was downed, to mark the place and to pay her respects to each one of the incredibly brave Night Witches.
That hits you hard at the end. I mean, it's one thing to lose people in battle. It's another thing entirely to dedicate time and effort and energy into going out and seeking out the places where they were lost in the hopes of finding them. honorable. But man, I can't even imagine how hard that must be to go out there and actually find them and bring them home, even years or decades later. I have all the respect for these women and what they accomplished. To me is just incredible. Thank you for being here. This is Halos and Heroes. I love you. I care. You're not alone.